So now we are going to start with our first panel, Waste Management and Circular Economy, Insights from Different Sectors. We have several representatives. We have Anfaco Cecopesca, represented by Leticia Regueiro, who is the Manager of Sustainability and Circular Economy. We also have a representative from Bodegas, Martín, Códax, Miguel, Tubío, who is the Technical Director of this winery. We are also joined by Sogama, represented by the Managing Director, Mr. García. And finally, we have Carolina Ibáñez, who is the Environmental Development Manager at Repsol. So we are delighted to have you all. Thank you very much for taking the time to share this session with us. So first, we are going to give the floor to Leticia Regueiro. As I said before, she is representing Anfaco Cecopesca. Leticia, you have the floor. Thank you so much for the introduction, Angela. I hope you can all see the screen now. Yes, looks good. Well, thank you very much for the introduction and for having us at this panel on waste management and circular economy. Let me give you an overview about Anfaco Cecopesca. Anfaco Cecopesca is a national fisheries companies. This is a business association that has 170 years of history. It's an association, and on the other hand, it's a benchmark technological center at national and international level in the agro-business sector, in the agro-food sector. So I could give you some data about the project, but I understand that you already have this information beforehand, so I will start talking about sustainability right away in the maritime and agro-food sector. We believe that being respectful with the environment is critical to guarantee the sector's competitiveness in the forthcoming years. So the agro-food companies have been working for many years on obtaining certifications in order to enhance their sustainability, such is the case of the MCC seal for sustainable fisheries. There are many companies in the sector that are working along these lines, like for example Conserval, Antonio Alonso, Consorcio, etc. As you can see here, this is a can carrying that seal. There are several companies in the sector that have sustainability policies in place and that support sustainable fishing. Some of these companies also refer to renewable energies as a way to guarantee sustainability. In the canning sector, especially when talking about tuna fish canning, players are trying to convey the importance of the sustainability seal to society, something that consumers are highly interested in. In 2021, 40% of cans of the Isabel brand will carry this seal. So the purpose is to support sustainability policies in the sector as much as possible. Along these lines, the Calvo Group is also working on processes that should be as ecologically friendly as possible. For example, by producing tuna fish in bio oil and by providing certified fish. And also by including some sustainability actions as part of their policies. Pescanova, for example, has a responsible action program that is aimed at building a common planet and also developing sustainable products. They also work on innovation. They are now building a biomarine center project, and they're also supporting international certifications that have to do with sustainability. Now, placing a focus on circular economy. Circular economy is another unchallengeable or another important challenge for the sector. There are companies such as Helsa that are also fostering some CSR programs in order to promote a circular economy approach in order to use fish fully, those parts of fish that are not currently canned. So we see that the circular economy provides a huge potential here in the case of the agro-food system. This is an example from Catalonia that can be all the same extrapolated to our community. Right on top, you can see the potential of agro-food products to be part of the circular economy and other products as well. So the sector is therefore promoting this kind of projects for that reason. At Anfaco, we are working with several companies. For example, there is one project called Neptuno that is geared to transitioning towards the circular economy in the seafood sector. We're working jointly with the University of Santiago in this endeavor. This is a project whereby by measuring life cycles, we're trying to identify nutritional footprints or environmental footprints, and we also try to work on primary and secondary packaging, and we also try to recover food scraps. In addition, we also try to address other challenges, for example, climate change or sea waste. At Anfaco, in addition to this project concerned with the circular economy, we also promote other circular economy and sustainability projects along other lines. For example, in the area of water, in order to improve the way in which water is reclaimed for other purposes, or sludge management, also in the area of power, and also concerning raw materials, waste, and sub-products in order to promote their use and recovery. Now we're going to see some examples. With regards to powder energy, we have one particular project called Life Plus IndiFood. This project is concerned with cooking and sterilization processes in order to substitute fossil fuels for electricity thanks to induction processes that happen to be more efficient from a thermal perspective. So a pilot plant has been put in place in order to compare traditional systems with new systems, reaching energy savings in the amount of 20%. With regards to the alternate feed project, we have tried to look for new raw materials for aquaculture purposes. Aquaculture is a booming sector that needs to be provided with new feed because there are increasing feeding requirements and there's not much feed available for this kind of fishes, and companies are looking for alternatives. So as part of the alternate feed project, we have analyzed macroalgae. Because of their nutrition characteristics, we have analyzed different crops that could be positive from a nutritional and environmental perspective. We have tried to recover oils and proteins by using tuna cooking water, and we have also used insects for aquaculture feeding purposes, and also using vegetable products or byproducts. We have obtained some encouraging results, especially in the case of those diets where we used oil, fatty acids. So the purpose here is to find new business models that can be applied to circular economy. That is to say, a new economic model that can add value. The goal is to go beyond the current way in which waste is managed. So far, we have been using waste in order to produce fish, flour, or oil. We want to tweak it a little bit more, and we want to start producing value-added products, for example, by using leather, collagen, gelatin, pigments, or, for example, in order to produce new products using crustacean leftovers. So we are trying to provide, or we try to use these products, taking advantage of all their benefits in order to add more value, where we would have to keep all the same, the quality of fish, and try to use these products also for other purposes, such as in the pharmaceutical industry. Some countries are doing this already, such as France. Half their products are already allocated to fish meal and fish oil, but they're also trying to use them for pet food production or for hydrolysates or for other high-value products. So the take-home message here is to build a multi-product strategy rather than a single product, such as fish meal or fish oil, therefore building a different kind of business model. This is another example of another project called Fish for Fish. Here we are using shrimp heads in order to obtain kilosates. So the purpose here is to blend these chitinases to obtain some compost that can be combined with fishing products to lengthen their life, given their antimicrobial characteristics. So here you can see the circularity of this system, even though these chitinase could be used for that purposes, since it's already used in the pharmaceutical or medical industry and also in pills. We are also working in the Conserval project. This is a project that will be discussed in the next session. The purpose here is to develop a new water line. We are working in the byproducts sector with the aim of obtaining collagen hydrolysates for different applications. With regards to waste, we would like to underscore the alley hoop project. Here we are trying to obtain protein from algae waste or refuse. This is waste produced by the different fishing crews that have to clean the beach in order to carry out their normal work. So twice a week they clean the beach and they generate this waste that can be used for composting purposes or remains on the beach. So we could obtain high added value waste from this practice. For example, here you can see 36 tons have been reclaimed from the beach. The purpose of the alley hoop project is to obtain proteins. For example, in this case, we do some hydrolysis with this protein, then we do some solid separation. We do filtering in order to obtain hydrolysates, dry them subsequently, and to use them afterwards for fish, swine, and chicken feed. GAIN is another project. This is a project where we use mussels. Mussels are widely found in Galicia. We are trying to use this scrap as part of the biofilters that are used in order to allow for recirculation of water in aquaculture practices. So we're trying to use these filters in order to replace plastic filters and therefore doing away with plastic in the system. So this is used for nitrification and the nitrification processes, and also for other purposes. Here you can see some results when we compare how this works compared to plastic rings that are normally used in conventional filters, and what happens when we use crushed shells. We have also used whole shells, and we have seen that the results are much better when using crushed shells because it reduces the amount of nitrates. In the future, our goal is to have healthy oceans, and eventually we also want to aim at digitalization as another channel for sustainability, reducing the effects of climate change among fisheries. We want to work on sustainable aquaculture, looking for projects with the lowest environmental footprint possible by obtaining more sustainable products and moving towards a neutral climate transformation process. We want to have biogas, hydrogen, or other renewable energies to fuel our systems, and also systems with the lowest water footprint possible in production systems. We also want to provide sustainable canned products that can be safe at the same time, and minimizing the use of plastic. We also mean to contribute to minimizing food scraps and implementing technologies in order to make the best possible use of the sector's byproducts. We want to raise awareness in the sector, providing ongoing training and also trying to promote innovation to allow for its sustainable transformation. So at Anfaco, we will try to make our contribution in order to build a circular economy producing zero waste, which is our ultimate goal. Thank you very much, Leticia, for your presentation. Okay, now we are going to give the floor to our second panelist today. Bodegas Martín Códax, represented by Miguel Tubío, who is the technical director of the Martín Códax wineries. So, Miguel, you have the floor. There's a typo. It's not Tubío, but rather Turbio. Our apologies for the typo in your name, Miguel. I would appreciate if you could please start sliding through my presentation. Well, actually, you can share the screen yourself so that you can show the slides at your own pace. Yes, Miguel, we can all see your presentation very well. So I'm going to provide you with some insights from the winemaking industry perspective. I will talk about the waste produced in this sector and our outlook on the future. First off, let me start telling you about Bodegas Martín Códax. This is a cooperative that manages a total of 650 hectares. We buy from other providers. We are in northern Spain in the Rías Baixas region, Monterrey and Bierzo, and we are involved in winemaking and also in the distribution of the wines we produce in our region, but perhaps we are best known by our Albarino variety. In the group, as I said before, we run a winery that is the largest in the group, that represents the Rías Baixas appellation of origin. It's one of the largest. Here you can see our production centers shown on the map. You know that winemaking is very much related to tourism. So we're also present in the tourism sector, and we also do exports. As my colleague said, there are many companies that are acting as a driving engine in order to promote circular economy and sustainability, and they are laying the groundwork to standardize all these processes in order to build new strategies as well as a new communication approach. In our sector, we were using this as a communication axis without actually key developments in the backdrop. Now, talking about waste specifically, and afterwards I will talk about how this ties to the circular economy. Winemaking is an activity that does not produce or generate much waste, even though packaging and distribution activities do produce waste, just like any other activity. This is a highly optimized activity where there are many wineries, even though there are some large winemaking producers. There are still some small wineries with their own production that produce wines at a local level, so to speak. Then we have the, of course, waste coming from the winemaking activity as such. For example, yard waste producing 3 tons of biomass per year. This is now being managed by allowing this waste to go back into the soil for plant regeneration. And we also use burning as another technique, but this is being used less and less. Then we have stems. In the case of wine, we separate grapes from stems. These stems are used as organic waste. This is relatively important. We are speaking about 15 days or 1 month, which is the total management life cycle of stems in order to obtain organic waste. This is normally done by wineries that run their own vineyards. Then we have bagasse. Here we're talking about grapes, skin and seeds. This is normally found when producing white wines. In this sector, this has always been considered to be a byproduct that could be managed for spirits production, or else to obtain alcohol in order to produce ethylic alcohol or vodka. So this waste has always been recovered for these purposes to obtain some kind of organic waste that can be used by distilleries, for example, for composting. Now, speaking about winemaking as such, Usually we obtain must filtering sludge, which is typical from winemaking. So sometimes we have to use filtering material. Sometimes we use more solid sludge, and some other times more fluid sludge. Then every time one racking takes place, sludge is produced, and we have to eventually manage those deposits as well. So these are byproducts that can be delivered as well. Eventually, we obtain some wine sludge that is disposed of as it is normally done in the food industry. Then we have bentonites. These are clays that are obtained as a result of the concentration of compounds. Then we have tartrates and bitartrates. These are products that can be also brought back into winemaking. In the Rías Baixas area, we have a high amount of tartrates, making them very interesting, especially because there are very few crops at a national level. The price reached in this case may be quite interesting because it's quite scarce. Then we have cleaning sludge. And finally, with regards to packaging, well, here we are speaking about different packaging materials such as glass, cardboard, plastic, wood, that we normally find in other food producing activities. Then we also have some hazardous waste, but this is a very small volume. We are also doing some waste to energy activities in order to obtain functional products or make the best use possible of the organic waste of grapes. Phenolic substances are found in grapes. There's one particular plant that is working in the region in order to process these kind of products. We have also worked with the University of Santiago in order to analyze other possibilities as to see how we can reduce this kind of waste. You know that grapes can be used in order to produce energy before we actually allocate this waste for other purposes. So in brief, and to share our vision with you from our sector's perspective, we believe that in the forthcoming years we will all be forced to analyze new alternatives in the sector in order to have a circular economy model. Therefore, the winemaking sector, by contrast with other sectors such as the fishing industry, is closely connected to farming. Therefore, that has an upside and provides us with many opportunities in order to ensure a truly sustainable circular economy. So there are two types of waste. We have organic waste coming from winemaking that could be potentially used, and then we have others that we have to package and that have to be distributed or taken all the way to consumers. With regards to winemaking, we have an advantage here because we work hand in hand with farmers, and that should be taken into account in the circular economy context. And when thinking about the compounds that we can find, for example, in the grape skin and seeds, all the organic load that we have obtained from the crops should actually be processed to obtain compost at a local level in order, for example, to make the best use possible of vineyards. So the fact that we are working with farmers enables us to benefit from the EU legal framework as part of the European Green Deal, among other frameworks. So in addition to global sustainability and zero CO2 emissions and CO2 emissions reduction, now the EU is promoting more sustainable tillage practices in order to start promoting farming through an ecological transition, reducing the amount of fertilizers used. And I believe that this is truly circular. Making industry, therefore, should try to use organic waste and bring them back into vineyards. On the other hand, we have other materials to be taken into account. I believe that perhaps this shows some conflict of interest, because even though consumers seek this, there's still some confusion when talking about the circular economy. In our case, glass, even though it's recyclable, it does not seem to be environmental enough because it can trigger a high CO2 footprint. And also, for marketing reasons, all companies want to look green, even though we see that some companies that claim to be environmentally friendly do not have eco packaging, but consumers are actually asking that more and more, and that's what regulations will eventually put in place. All these will be implemented hand in hand with consumers, and all this will be closely related to the CO2 footprint and climate change. So these are the main priorities. And let me give you some examples found in the sector. We can talk about canned wine. This is a product that is growing at a rate of 2 digits worldwide. This is a new kind of packaging that young consumers like in particular. So this is a new type of packaging that will eventually allow for a significant drop in the CO2 footprint while allowing for aluminum recycling. There are other initiatives in progress. For example, we are seeing some bioreturnable glass initiatives. Eventually, we will also see that being implemented in winemaking. And then these kind of packages that you see at the bottom that also reduce the CO2 footprint and facilitate recycling. And that's basically what I wanted to share with you. So we have a huge challenge ahead. We are now preparing a master plan for the 2025 period in order to transition grape production towards energy transition and the circular economy. That's part of our strategy plans. And in the next months, we expect to have some actions already in place. Thank you very much. And now I would like to give the floor back to Angela. Thank you very much, Miguel, for showing this waste management and circular economy approach from the winemaking sector. So now we are going to give the floor to our next speaker. Miguel, please stop sharing your screen, if you could be so kind. So I'm going to introduce our next speaker, Isidro García Téllez from Sogama. who is the managing director of this company. Okay, so I'm going to share the screen for the presentation of our next panelist. I am Isidro García. I have a problem sharing my screen. I would like to introduce Isidro, and now I stop sharing so you can share your screen. Can you see my screen now? Yes? Okay. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity of participating on this Green Week. Sogama, I'm going to explain what Sogama is. I know Galician people know what Sogama is, but I would like to explain that we deal with waste management. We are a company, partially public company. 51% of the company is owned by the Xunta de Galicia, and 49% belongs to the technological partner Naturgy. It was created in 1992 to manage waste in Galicia, and our clients are currently 295 city councils that are 94% of the ones existing already in Galicia. The main problem that existed in Galicia back then was that each city council, each council had its own dump, and there were a lot of areas with illegal waste. So the solution was to create a company to manage all of this and start closing illegal dumps and recover the green areas in our territory. When Sogama was created, it had 3 axes. One was to be global for the entire region of Galicia. The second one was to be comprehensive with reduction, reuse, and recycling, and to be solidary, because we wanted the smallest city councils to that we didn't want them to pay the same as the big ones. And we started with the black bag and the yellow bag. We produced material and electric power, and since 2019 we started to create a organic line. We have already a plant working, and we have 3 more plants that will be ready by the end of 2022. It is quite complicated to have a management, this type of management in one single point. So we have different plants that we manage directly or indirectly to collect the waste and then process it in Tercera. So our structure enables to process a huge amount of tons. In the area of Coruña and Barbanza, we have ancillary plants that are different to ours, but they have a similar management. And we are talking about 1 million tons in Galicia of urban waste. So we are processing 83%, and we have
that the main problem is the logistics of this waste, because there are so many councils and they are so far away that we need to have a good system. This is how it works. We have trucks that discharge their contents in a 45 square meter containers to transfer the matter, and this is transferred to another truck and it comes here. It would be quite difficult to manage all of this without this system, because urban trucks can move 2-3 tons, but if we receive around 30,000 tons per week, we would have too many trucks on the road. So we created a double policy, which is made up by the road and rail transport. 25% was transferred by train and 75% by truck. And we changed our philosophy recently. We decided to work more with the rail transportation. It involves less problems, less pollution, less incidents on the road, and nowadays 55% of the waste is moved by train, and 45% are those municipalities that are closer to Sogama, and therefore moving waste by train, it could be meaningless, because they are less than 100 kilometers away from Sogama. So this has involved a great change for us. The current model that we are using is the biggest one in Spain of combined transportation of road and rail transportation. There is no other company in Spain transporting such amount of tons in a combined way. And I think we will continue on this line. The train is a little bit limited for transportation. It's less flexible than the trucks. And then in Cerceda, we have 2 production centers. One is in Cerceda and the other one is in Areosa. We have an area for recycling of fuel. There is another one for the classification or sorting of packages. Then there is an area with a cogeneration plant, another one for storage. Then we have the thermoelectrical plant and a new material sorting plant, because we still receive a lot of materials that can be recycled in the black bag. So the commitment level of Galician people is not enough yet to separate all the materials in the yellow and black bags. So we created a new plant that cost 30 million euros to recover those materials. And then we have the power station to produce electric power. That is around 13% of the energy consumption of Galician households. So we are returning to Galician households around 13% of their power energy. And then we have the offices. The dump has a compost plant that is new. We have a biogas production plant that produces around 10,000 kilowatts of energy or power. And then we have a water treatment plant also. So the complex of Sogama as a whole is the one with the biggest production in Spain. There are small plants in Spain, but this is the only one with everything together. We are the ones that produce the most. And as I was saying, we are producing and we can process up to 1 million tons. So this is going to be quite a feasible plant in the first coming years. These are some details about what we produce. We have 65 hectares with 1 million tons of capacity per year. We produce 516,000 megawatts of per year. And then we have the black bag, the yellow bag, and the thermoelectrical plant with 2 boilers. And then the emissions to the atmosphere are quite under the legal limit, so we are in a good position. And we perfectly comply with the environmental levels. So this is a model plant as far as atmospheric emissions are concerned. We are managing right now around 1,000 jobs, generating 1,000 jobs, direct and indirect jobs. This is very important, especially for the area of Tercera. And I'm going to focus now on what is going on in Europe with waste, because I think it's important to see where we are and where we would need to go. The European average waste goes to dumps. There is no recycling. In Spain, we are around 54%. We almost double the European average. As for energy valorization, in Spain we are at 11, and the average of the European Union is 27. Then, regarding the recycling of materials, we are on 18%, and Europe is around 30%, so we still have quite a lot of work to do here. And then on compost, we are on 16.72 and Europe at 17%. If you have a look at the other countries like Belgium, Sweden, Austria, their values are quite under 5% for dumps, and they have increased on recycling and energy valorization. If we want to approach the most advanced Europe, we need to increase the treatment of recycling, increase compost and energy valorization. This is the line that we are going to follow. If we compare Spain with intermediate countries, we see that France has 19% of dumps, Portugal 49%, Spain 54%. And then we have other countries, which are the poorest ones, that reach up to 80%, or islands like Malta or Cyprus, 80% of dumps. In the future of the European goals, this should be under 10%. There is a commitment here for 2035 to have less than 10% of dumps. I mean, less of 10% of the waste going to dumps. So the commitment of Sogama is to improve our situation on compost and on the material valuation. That's why we created this new plant to recover 10-15% of the materials. And as for compost at home, we already started like 10 years ago with urban or domestic composters. We distributed 15,000 composters, and we are growing and growing. This is a good solution for small urban areas, for family groups, for small villages that cannot have a compost plant. And this is what we are trying to promote. On the other hand, we have bio-waste plants. We have designed 3 new plants apart from the one that we have, and we have placed one on each province, one in Lugo, one in Coruña, in Pontevedra and Orense, and we hope these plants will continue growing in the future if we can get enough capacity. We have also developed 13 transfer plants for them to receive organic matter too. So using the same logistics that we have for normal waste, regular waste, we can use it for other types of waste. So we have 280 councils joining Sogama, and we would have the smaller areas where we would use compost. So we are already working on all of this, and we hope that by the last quarter of 2022 we hope that we would have covered the entire region of Galicia. We are also committing ourselves to the selective collection of organic matter. Why should a piece of food reach the dump if it can be used for other things? For example, we have here our plants. We have projects amounting to 35 million euros. This is a plant that we created for 3 million euros. There is another one in Cervo that cost 5,500 million euros. And we have another plant in Bayonne at Villanova, amounting to 15.5 million euros. And then we would like to reinforce our plants and give an answer to these products that currently were not used here in Galicia. So this has been our main effort. The plants will include the state-of-the-art technology, especially when talking about the smell that they can produce, which is something that is worrying people, and looking for a quality compost to be used on agriculture, farming, and in different uses for compost. Here you see our plan for bio-waste. These are the plants that are going to be modified, and the green ones are the ones that will be developed. This is a big investment for us, 35 million euros that are going to be used, and we hope we can finish in 2 years. So when most of the municipalities in Galicia have it, we are ready and we can reach all the city councils. I've been a little bit quick, I'm sorry, but I wanted to give you a whole idea about what Sogama is doing on circular economy, and especially on this area that we had quite forgotten here in Galicia, which is bio-waste and compost. Thank you very much, Isidro, for such an effort to summarize what you are doing at Sogama. If you can stop sharing your screen now, please, so we can introduce our next panelist. Our next guest is Carolina Ibáñez. She's the Manager of Environmental Development of Repsol, and she's here with us today to share what this organization is doing on waste management and circular economy. Welcome, Carolina. You have the floor. Good afternoon. So you can see my screen, right? Thank you very much for introducing me, Angela, and for inviting me to share this time with you. We have so many things to tell you, so I will try to summarize the main points of the circular economy strategy at Repsol. I've been working on circular economy for a couple of years. And when I would talk about circular economy 2 years ago, I would ask the audience what circular economy is and what if they thought that it was something in fashion or was something here to say. So I think, Angela, you started with a similar question this morning. You asked if it is a real commitment, and yes, I have the answer. Yes, it is. And this is the way we are going to work and continue transforming our industry in the forthcoming years. Circular economy is a key point in our strategy. I'm going to give you a little bit of context how we locate circular economy in Repsol. We have a series of problems. We have climate change, which is quite relevant, and we need to work to fight against it. We have the depletion of resources. We are consuming in 1 year what the planet is able to produce in 2.5 years. This is not sustainable. So we may change the way we live, or we can change the way we live, or the future is not going to be there. And we have a society that is more and more aware of all of this, and it's asking for more sustainable products. So we have a society that has a state of well-being, and we need development and economic growth. So we really need to balance the protection of the planet, maintaining that status of the society, and this is not easy. Then, talking about the company, in 2019, we launched a quite challenging objective, which is to be zero net CO2 emissions in 2050. For a company like Repsol, this involves changing the entire way we work. This is our main commitment, and we know that circular economy is going to be a lever for us to achieve this. We are also committed to the SDGs of the UN, and we have action plans. Here, circular economy also plays a key role to achieve all the commitments. What is circular economy? There isn't a single definition for this term. If you Google it, you will find so many definitions and details and nuances. But some years ago, when we started to define our strategy, we had to define what we understood when we said circular economy. So we defined it as a new production and consumption model that ensures sustainable growth over time. Thanks to circular economy, we will be more efficient in our processes. We will reduce the consumption of raw materials and recover waste by recycling or giving it a second life as a new product. once we have generated the waste, we will try to treat them in the best way to reuse or recycle them or eliminate them, trying to take them to dumps. This is a circular economy for Repsol, but in order to explain it in a graphic way, I'm going to play a video, and I hope you enjoy it. That video summarizes what circular economy is for us. We had to define circular economy, and we moved forward, and we had to define the types of projects that we would consider as circular projects within the organization. This wasn't an easy task because circular economy for us goes beyond waste. So we decided that all the projects that have to do with eco-design are circular economy projects. Any product before being produced for the first time needs to be sustainable. Then we have the projects related to process efficiency and innovation. All the projects that we have, for example, in our refinery in A Coruña, to treat water, for example, must be circular. Then the third one would be the one related to waste. It is renewable energy and alternative raw materials, which are waste that we will put into our production processes, and the products will have the same characteristics as if we were using raw materials. And then the fourth one would be the most different one, and it includes all the projects that have to do with the new consumption patterns. Consumers are asking for increasingly sustainable products. This is a growing trend, and for example, we are promoting renting instead of buying, so we have here some projects that I will talk about later. Repsol has a circular economy strategy since 2016, which was ratified by our CEO, and it is a comprehensive strategy. This means that it is included throughout the entire value chain. We apply circular economy in all the countries where we work, in all the business types that we have, but we go beyond our sector. We try to apply or implement all the principles of a circular economy to the entire chain, to our clients, because we believe that we need to find alliances and other companies to share these projects with, or we won't be able to move forward. We have different circular projects at Repsol. In the last few years, we had more than 230 projects in more than 14 countries, more than 200 strategic partnerships. I encourage you, if you have any idea and you want to share it with us to develop a joint project, don't hesitate to email me. So we will be always ready and open to talk and research. Then we have more than 150 employees working in circular economy projects. We hope this will really increase in the forthcoming years. And we have invested more than 50 million euros on developing circular economy projects. By the end of last year, we launched a new strategic plan that is closely related to circular economy projects that are going to be implemented in the forthcoming years, and this amount obviously will be increased. If we use a timeline since 2015, when the European Commission launched the first package of energy economy projects, in 2017 we were one of the first companies that signed this agreement with the government of Spain, and we kept growing. We developed circular economy in our organization, in all the business areas that we have. We joined different voluntary commitments, like the Plastic 2030 of Plastic Europe. We created a specific committee focused on circular economy to continue developing the projects within the company. We are all the time looking at the new legislations appearing. And since the European Green Deal was launched last year, different regulations have changed and have been implemented. And now we have the new 3-annual plan of action. So we have a lot of regulations that we analyze, always with the idea of being proactive and not reactive. This is what is going to characterize our actions in the forthcoming years. And last month, the first catalog of best practices of circular economy was launched by the Emitter, and we are proud because we are recognized in that catalog. So this was our strategy and the theory, but I want to know what about the practice, right? So there is a specific project that we have, which is called Repsol Recyclex. We manufacture plastic materials, use them to manufacture the final parts, like parts for cars, material for hospitals that have been so important. For example, the robes of the hospitals are made with this plastic material. So we have this range of materials called Repsol Recyclex, which is manufactured with recycled plastic, and we reprocess the plastic from the dump and use them to create a new product, always complying with the conditions of the original product. With these projects, we are reducing the CO2 emissions, and we are bringing to the market sustainable products that were asked by the audience or the public. Then we also create biofuels from waste. We replace the raw or virgin materials with recycled ones. We are using this type of fuels on planes, boats, and this is one of the strategic projects that we have. Thanks to these biofuels that we produce from waste, we can reduce the carbon footprint around 85% in comparison to a traditional fuel. This is such a strategic project for us that we committed to have more than 2 million tons of biofuel by 2030. We know this is quite challenging, but we will be able to do it. And for this purpose, apart from modifying the current processes in our refineries, we are building a biorefinery in Cartagena. This new biorefinery will process waste and produce fuels for planes, for trucks, for cars. And what do we achieve with this? Well, we reduce around 1,900,000 tons of CO2 per year. So we are very, very committed to these projects, and we are sure that the environmental benefits in the future are going to be huge. In the forthcoming years in Bilbao, by our refinery of Petronor, we are going to build some premises to process urban waste and transform it into a gas that will fuel our own refinery. The gas will be used to substitute part of the fuels traditionally used, and we will start with processing around 10,000 tons per year, and then we hope we can reach 10,000 tons per year. 100,000. We are also manufacturing lubricants with recycled materials that are recovered and used in our premises for the production of lubricants that we are selling around Spain. Then we also manufacture asphalt with tire dust. We are manufacturing these roads with tire dust that are not going to the dump. And we even improve the characteristics, because with this waste we get more durable roads and easier to repair roads. And finally, a couple of examples of those projects that I was saying that are shared. One of them is Regueiro. They are cars that we rent. These are available in Madrid. If you are in Madrid, you can rent with your phone your car and move around the city in an electric vehicle. And then we have Repsol Solmatch, which is a new service based on a 100% renewable energy model, through which we are paving the way for distributed or decentralized electricity generation in Spain. We are bringing renewable power generation to the point of consumption by designing solar communities in urban centers. I know we don't have much time, so you have a lot of information on at Repsol.com. We have specific areas for circular economy, and if you have any question, you can email me at economiacircular@repsol.com, and I will be happy to help you or look for initiatives to work together. Thank you very much.